Right, doctor. You mentioned that the mandates which are being imposed are much more deadlier than the virus itself. So when we talk about the modern medicine, we see evidence-based medicine. So WHO and all the governments, they must be acting on evidence. For example, if they must be having some supporting evidence behind the mask mandates or behind the lockdowns. Is there any scientific evidence to prove that these mandates work to actually stop the transmission of a virus and make people healthier?
It's a good question. So let's not take my personal opinion. Let's take the words of the experts themselves when they were asked those exact questions. So Dr. Fauci has become somewhat of a legend here in the United States and around the world. And unfortunately, too many people are listening to a bureaucrat that has not been elected by a single person here in the United States, but yet he's rose to this level of power and prominence, in my opinion, that he should never have had. So back in March of 2020, Dr. Fauci said, and I'm quoting now, these are his words, not mine, people should not be walking around with masks. It's not providing the perfect protection that people think it is. He goes on to say, there are unintended consequences as people keep fiddling with their masks, keep touching their face, which may actually increase the risk. So that was Dr. Fauci himself. Then the United States Surgeon General, Dr. Jerome Adams, said, stop buying masks. They are not effective at preventing the general public from catching coronavirus. Then one of the leaders of the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, here in the United States said the following, and I'm quoting, not my words, but her words. We don't routinely recommend the use of face masks by the public to prevent respiratory illness. And we certainly are not recommending that at this time for this new virus. The CDC director himself, Dr. Robert Redfield, who has now come out and has been quite critical of our response to this virus, said, and I'm quoting, instead of wearing a mask, the general public should be vigilant to the symptoms and signs of coronavirus. There is no role for masks in the general community. These are his words, not mine. And then the World Health Organization, and by the way, the World Health Organization, I give very little credibility to. In my opinion, they are simply a propaganda wing of the Chinese Communist Party. You may remember when this virus first came upon society, the World Health Organization praised the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese government as doing a wonderful job of transparency. They also echoed the Communist Party's line that this virus was not dangerous, that we had nothing to worry about, that it couldn't be transmitted person to person. So I give almost no credibility to the World Health Organization. And I believe President Trump at the time did the right thing by defunding the World Health Organization from the standpoint of the United States' role. So the World Health Organization said the following as it related to masks. The use of masks is insufficient to provide adequate level of protection, and other equally relevant measures should be adopted. And then most importantly, the most prestigious medical journal in the United States, the New England Journal of Medicine, had a very long article by some esteemed physicians, and they said the following, and I'm quoting, we know that wearing masks outside the healthcare facilities, meaning outside of a hospital, offers little, if any, protection from infection. They go on to say, and here's my favorite line, expanded masking protocols' greatest contribution may be to reduce the transmission of anxiety. So we've known for years and years and decades that wearing a mask, and in particular homemade masks and these thin surgical masks, offer little, if any, protection against a viral illness. Yet here we are, and on, it's going to be a beautiful day today in Southern California, as it is almost every day, in the 70s, and I'll be out walking around, and you'll see people by themselves walking with a mask on, walking their dog with a mask on, or my favorite is driving in a car by themselves with a mask on. We have so been indoctrinated with fear that we must comply with government mandates, that people are doing things that are quite ridiculous and really have no role in public health. But somehow this virus of fear has taken over not just the United States, but the world. And it's very, very sad to me